Thank you. Well, I'm glad to join you again, Richard. And I think some of you might be surprised I'm speaking to you today because you may have read this. Netanyahu plans to boycott the GA. Now, this was news to me. You remember, Richard, when I met you and Jerry months ago and told you that I would either come to Los Angeles or make remarks by satellite. So here's the lesson. Just because you read it in the Israeli press doesn't necessarily make it true. Anyway, I hope to see you all in person next year, and we're looking forward to greeting you in the 2018 GA in Tel Aviv, waiting for you. First of all, you are fully welcome. Israel is the home of all Jews, and it must remain so. I took on the issue of prayer arrangements at the Western Wall because I strongly believe that all Jews, without exception, should feel at home in Israel. Now, Richard, you know very well, I didn't have to deal with this. I could have left it to the courts, to the Knesset, but it's vitally important to me personally. What the government froze in June were only the most ideologically charged elements of the Western Wall plan. They were holding up the practical elements hostage. So as many of you know, there's been a pluralistic prayer space in the Western Wall, in the Kotel, for almost 20 years. The 2016 decision wasn't to create a prayer space, it was to improve the existing space. We're moving forward with construction to do just that. And I hope, and I'm working to make sure that this happens, that you will see the improved prayer space before the next GA. I'm working to move forward on solutions for other issues as well. And here's the thing that guides me. This is true from the time of Ben-Gurion, who was as Israel's first prime minister, was faced with this dilemma, how to deal with the conflicting views of the state, religion and the state. And what he articulated then is something that basically all prime ministers have done, and I've done as well, as you remember also with the issue of conversion. This is this principle. Religious status quo issues have always been resolved as the result of evolution and not revolution. So despite the disagreements, despite, I have to say, a lot of distortions, and despite the, at times, disparaging remarks about me and my government, I remain committed to moving forward. I believe that the Jewish people are all one family. I believe that Israel is the home of all Jews and that all Jews should have access and prayer in the Kotel. Well, for me, the bottom line hasn't changed, Richard. We must ensure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. That's the bottom line and the most important thing. The JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal, doesn't achieve that. On the contrary, after about a decade, it will leave Iran able to produce hundreds of nuclear weapons in a very short time because the deal rescinds all the limitations on Iran's enrichment capacity. They can have hundreds of thousands of centrifuges, and they plan to. Now, I want to thank President Trump and his administration for the current American Iran policy. And I also want to thank them and Ambassador Haley for the strong support given to Israel at the UN. What I think President Trump has done is to create an opportunity. I think what he's done is create an opportunity to address the deal's flaws. And my view is, I don't particularly care about the deal. I don't care if you keep it or you remove it, but you have to correct it, either by fixing it or nixing it. I've been speaking to world leaders around the world, actually, and I've encouraged them to take advantage of this opportunity. Now, the question is, why is Iran so dangerous? It's dangerous because of its fanatic ideology of global conquest, its growing power, its unflagging commitment to destroy Israel, its unvarnished aggression. Iran has already spread bloody conflict across the Middle East, in Yemen, in Iraq, in Syria, in Lebanon. And we're far from alone in recognizing the Iranian threat to the Middle East. I believe that the leading Arab countries, Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, Egypt, many of our Arab neighbors, see things exactly as we do. And I think they're right. Now Iran is scheming to entrench itself militarily in Syria. They want to create a permanent air, land, and sea military presence with the declared intent of using Syria as a base from which to destroy Israel. We're not going to agree to that. I've said very clearly, Israel will work to stop this. And we must all work together to stop Iran's aggression, its worldwide campaign of terror, and its pursuit of nuclear weapons. I think if we stand together, we're going to achieve it. But I've always said, if we have to, we'll stand alone. Iran will not get nuclear weapons. It will not turn Syria into a military base against Israel. Well, it begins with a simple reality that we understand. In our area, and it's a very, very tough neighborhood, the weak don't survive. The strong survive. We look around us and we see entire nations being wiped out, people's massacred tragically. So you have to be strong. And there are basically three powers that we are all the time nurturing. The first power, you'd be surprised, you'd think is military power, and it is, but it's very expensive. We nurture the Israeli army. We're very grateful for the support, the continued support of the United States. And I'm very happy that I signed with President Obama the MOU for a 10-year support for Israel, $38 billion. It helps. But believe me, 85% of our budget has to come, our military budget, has to come from Israel. And where do you get that? Well, you get it from a strong economy. That's the other power that we're developing. And you know, there's a great genius in our people. But for too long it was shackled. It was really not allowed to burst out because we had a very controlled economy. So I've been working very hard over the past 20 years to liberalize our economy, and it's produced a tremendous, tremendous economic success. Now you take our military and intelligence prowess, which all nations need, our intelligence, because Israel has stopped dozens and dozens of terrorist attacks in dozens and dozens of countries. We share that intelligence with our friends and with many countries that are not our friends, but we want to stop attacks like Barcelona or Paris or the other horrors that you've seen, and we have. So nations want to partner with us for intelligence or for technology. They want more milk for their cows. Guess which cow has the most milk per cow? It's an Israeli cow, you know that. Or they want energy, solar energy, or they want clean water, or they want cherry tomatoes. It's ours too. Or anything that you can imagine, autonomous vehicles. Israel has this dual prowess of technology and security. And we combine that to get an unprecedented diplomatic flourish. We now have diplomatic power because many countries, many countries around the world are coming to Israel. In fact, some of them are standing in line. I was in Africa twice in a year. I was in Latin America. I mean, it's unbelievable, but can you imagine? I'm the first Israeli prime minister to have visited a country south of the United States in the Western Hemisphere in 70 years. It's a tremendous change. And by the way, Mexico should be congratulated. Mexico has just decided to vote against 10 anti-Israel resolutions in the UN, and I think they deserve your applause and our thanks. That's important. And that is happening in other countries as well. So these three powers, our economic power, our military power, our diplomatic power, give Israel great presence and great capacity to defend ourselves. But they all rest on one other power, our spiritual power. Our strength is a vibrant democracy, as a society anchored in our heritage, but always seeking the future. Our strength is what creates the greatest chances for peace, because you don't make peace with the weak, you make peace with the strong. And the threat of Iran has done one good thing. It's brought us closer than ever to our neighbors, creating new opportunities for peace, and I think you'll be hearing more about that in the future. Well, I'm most proud of the rebirth of the Jewish people through the rebirth of Jewish sovereignty. Remember that for thousands of years, Jews wandered around the globe. We were homeless, we were voiceless, we were defenseless. And today the Jewish people have returned to our ancestral homeland, and today Israel is capable of defending itself by itself against any threat. Today we have a voice, and we need to re-raise that voice. I'm also proud that Israel is an open society, a free society, an island of liberal democracy in a sea of tyranny. We have free speech, a free press, minority, LGBT rights, everything. We have an Arab Supreme Court justice, a Druze minister, whom I appointed in my government, female generals, gay members of Knesset. This is what a vibrant and diverse society looks like. I'm proud that we've created an open economy that, as I told you before, has unleashed the ingenuity of our people, our capacity for innovation. I'm proud that Israel has helped thousands of Syrian civilians injured in the horrific war. Now, I just saw the pictures of the destruction in Iran and Iraq following this week's earthquake. And I saw these heartbreaking images of men and women and children buried under the rubble. So I'm proud to announce tonight that a few hours ago, I directed that we offer the Red Cross medical assistance for the Iraqi and Iranian victims of this disaster. Now, you heard me right. I've said many times that we have no quarrel with the people of Iran. Our quarrel is only with the tyrannical regime that holds them hostage and threatens our destruction. But our humanity is greater than their hatred. Israel continues to be a light unto the nations. And this is what I'm proud of. And all of you can be proud of Israel's morals and Israel's might. Thank you very much. Thank you all.